Hey guys, today I'm going to be doing part 2 of my cooking series. I'm going to be teaching you guys kitchen safety as well as knife safety. Now when you're in the kitchen, there are a lot of different factors that can contaminate your food, being biological, chemical, and physical. Now physical factors are things like your hair, jewelry, acrylic nails, really anything that's physical that can get into your food. It can even contain things like flies or moths if you have those in your house. Those would all be considered physical contaminants. Chemical contaminants are, well, chemicals. So if you have something like bleach in your food or other chemicals that are not supposed to be in there, that would be a chemical contaminant. Biological contaminants would be things like mold or fungi, stuff like that. That can also contaminate your food. Now these contaminants can really make the people eating your food sick, whether it's yourself or someone else. So it's really important when you're in a kitchen for the physical contaminants, you should always be wearing a head covering, whether it's a hat or a hairnet, and some type of apron, as well as washing your hands and taking off all jewelry. Stuff like that can really contaminate the food, and that won't be good for the people eating it. As well as biological and chemical contaminants would also be bad for the food. It's a contaminant for a reason. So properly storing it in your fridge or your storage pantry and storing chemicals away and maintaining that food so it doesn't get moldy and such can be great ways to prevent those contaminants. Your work surface should always be clean as well. I personally use vinegar and water when I clean my surfaces. It's a nice disinfectant, but if that happens to get in contact with the food, it's not going to harm me because both of those are things that I can eat already. So finding a disinfectant like that would be great. If you don't have a disinfectant like that, using a disinfectant that is safer with food or letting it completely dry away before cooking on it or cutting on it or whatever you might be doing is a good way to ensure that you're not getting harmed from those chemicals. Now as far as knife safety goes, I see everyone holding the knife this way. And I'll be honest, that's exactly how I held the knife the first time I started cooking as well. That is actually the incorrect way to hold the knife. When you're holding a knife, you want to have it completely closed fist. This allows you more stability and control over the knife, and you're less likely going to be able to cut yourself and get hurt over it. Especially when you're doing round objects, your hand's going to be more stable. Now when you're cutting something, if you're holding it, you should always be holding it with your hand like this. You can see the knuckles are flat against it. This is so that way if the knife brushes up against it, it just slides right there. You're not going and cutting off your fingers. If you have your hands like this or have your hands open, you're way more likely to chop off the tip than you are to be able to hurt yourself if your hands are cupped like this. So that's just some of the basics of the knife safety. I have a bowl of spinach here, and I'll be demonstrating cutting that so you guys can see some simple tricks and tips when cutting it, as well as applying that knife safety. Now, most of the time when you cut, your tip is going to be on the cutting board, and you're going to be doing rotating motions. Your thing is kind of sliding up and against the cutting board without your tip ever leaving. This is a quick and efficient way to cut it. So when I cut spinach, I normally tend to ball it up into a log type shape. It's going to look really cylindrical. I find that this holds it well as shifts it enough so that way it dices up pretty easily. You don't have to cut spinach this way, or really anything. You don't have to cut the way that I might be showing you or someone else might be showing you, because it's all due to personal preference and how exactly you're wanting that thing cut. So since I am dicing it, I'm going to place my tip down. My fingers are closed around the spinach, and I'm just going to do those rotating motions. If you want it even more diced, which I'm going to want it, you just have to ball it up again and keep cutting. That's really just the whole thing when you're cutting things, is you just kind of keep going until it is the type of cut that you're wanting. Now there's different ways to cut different things as well. So for example, when I'm cutting mushrooms, they tend to slide around a lot more than spinach will. So I'll just kind of dump it on, and I need a bigger cutting board to prevent things from falling out onto the floor. And instead of having the tip down, I go straight up and down. I still hold it that correct way of the closed fist, and I go up and down, and I just keep rotating it until it's diced. You don't have to worry about doing the fancy move of moving your hand along with the knife until you're completely comfortable, as it is a danger issue, especially to younger children who might be using knives, although they should be using it with parental guidance. But making sure that you have the motion down will help with your cutting a lot. All right, I hope this helped. Thank you.